You know what happens when you try to compete with greatness? Sometimes reality hits harder than a Caitlin Clark Logo 3, and Angel Reese just learned that lesson the hard way. Look, before we dive into how Ice Cube just delivered the coldest reality check in basketball history, hit that subscribe button because we're about to expose some truths that'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about this rivalry. So picture this: Chicago, the Windy City, home of Michael Jordan, Derrick Rose, and supposedly Angel Reese's kingdom. But what happened when Caitlin Clark rolled into town? Let me tell you, it wasn't just a takeover, it was a complete conquest. We're talking about fans literally bleeding from their noses, trying to get down from the nosebleeds just to get CeCe's autograph. Yeah, you heard that right. Someone's nose was actually bleeding and they still ran down for that signature. That's not normal fan behavior, that's Michael Jordan level magnetism. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. While Angel Reese was out here with her "come to your trap, take over your trap" campaign with what looked like 15 paid extras in Indianapolis, Caitlin Clark showed up to Chicago and had thousands of real fans treating her like she was the second coming of MJ himself. No cap, no extras, just pure star power. And the craziest part? She signed autographs for 3 straight hours. 3 hours! Your favorite could never! Now let's talk about what just went down with Ice Cube, because this man just dropped a truth bomb so heavy, it might have registered on the Richter scale. When TMZ caught up with the Big 3 founder at LAX, they asked him straight up if Angel Reese would be getting that same $5 million offer that Caitlin Clark turned down. And Cube, man, kept it 100. He said, and I quote, "They didn't tell us the same thing about Angel Reese." Translation: the sponsors know who moves the needle and who doesn't. Think about this for a second. Caitlin Clark got offered $5 million to play maybe 10 games in the Big 3. That's $500,000 per game. Meanwhile, her entire WNBA rookie contract was worth $76,535. Ice Cube was literally offering her 65 times her WNBA salary, and she still said no thanks. That's when you know you've got options. That's when you know you're really that girl. But Angel Reese, Ice Cube made it crystal clear. The sponsors, the people who actually write the checks, they looked at the numbers and said, nah, she ain't bringing in those millions like CeCe would. And before y'all start crying about it being personal, Cube stressed it's strictly business. The man said he's got nothing against Angel, she's a great player, but business is business. Numbers don't lie, even when feelings want to. Here's what's even more embarrassing though. Remember when the Sky announced they were moving that June 7th game against the Fever to the United Center? That's the Bulls Arena, seats 23,500 people. They moved it from their regular spot that only holds 10,000 because they knew Caitlin Clark sold out arenas. But guess what happened when CeCe got injured and couldn't play? Ticket prices dropped from $86 to $25. That's a 71% drop. 71%! All because one player wasn't playing. Tell me again how they're on the same level. And speaking of injuries, let's address the elephant in the room. While all this drama's been unfolding, Caitlin's been dealing with a groin injury that's kept her out of multiple games this season. She's only played in 13 games, but even injured and limited, she's still the biggest draw in women's basketball. Meanwhile, Angel Reese has been out with back issues, and nobody's writing think pieces about how it affects the league's viewership. That should tell you everything you need to know. But wait, it gets deeper. You know what else happened recently? Some 55-year-old dude from Texas just got sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for stalking Caitlin Clark. This man was sending hundreds of threatening messages, showed up in Indianapolis claiming he was in an imaginary relationship with her. That's the level of impact she has. For better or worse, she's transcended basketball to the point where she needs that celebrity-level security. When's the last time you heard about someone catching a case over Angel Reese? I'll wait. Now let's talk about what this really means for Angel Reese's brand. She's been trying so hard to attach herself to Caitlin at every turn. Every interview, every social media post, it's always about their rivalry. But here's the thing about rivalries. They only work when both sides are equal. Magic and Bird were equals. Jordan and Isaiah were equals. But this is like comparing Drake to your local SoundCloud rapper. They're both making music, sure, but one's selling out stadiums while the other's performing at the neighborhood barbecue. And before anyone says I'm hating, let me be clear. Angel Reese is a good player. She's averaging 13.8 points and 12.5 rebounds this season. She's got her Reebok deal, she's on the cover of NBA 2K26, and she just won a championship in the Unrivaled League. That's all great, But being good and being Caitlin Clark are two completely different universes. The truth is, Caitlin Clark unlocked something that nobody else could. When she plays, arenas sell out. When she doesn't, prices drop by 70%. When she visits a city, it looks like a presidential motorcade. Ice Cube and his sponsors recognized that she could bring millions to the big three. Angel Reese, not so much. And that's not hate, that's just mathematics. You know what's really telling? Even with all her injuries this season, even shooting below her usual percentages, Caitlin Clark is still must-see TV. She's shooting 41.7% from the field and only 27.9% from three, way below her standards. But guess what? People still pack arenas just to watch her warm up. That's not normal, that's generational. Meanwhile, the WNBA is out here with a 48% increase in attendance, and we all know whose name is driving that bus. It ain't the girl who needs to reference CC in every interview to stay relevant. It's the one who had grown men running down stadium stairs with bloody noses just to get an autograph. Here's what Angel Reese needs to understand. You can't force greatness. You can't manufacture the kind of organic support that Caitlin Clark generates. When CC shows up to your city and has more fans than you do in your own arena, that's when you need to take a step back and reassess. Stop trying to compete where there's no competition. Focus on being the best version of yourself instead of constantly measuring yourself against someone who's clearly playing a different sport altogether. And let's be real about something else. This whole situation exposes what we've known all along. The business of sports doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about perceived slights or manufactured drama. It cares about who puts butts in seats and eyes on screens. Caitlin Clark does that at a level that's honestly unprecedented in women's basketball. She's got that Jordan effect, where even her enemies tune in hoping to see her lose. Ice Cube dropping this truth bomb wasn't meant to be disrespectful. It was meant to be real. In a world full of participation trophies and everybody getting equal treatment, sometimes you need someone to stand up and say no. Actually, they're not all the same. Some players are worth $5 million for 10 games. Some aren't. That's life. The funniest part about all this? Caitlin Clark didn't even take the $5 million. She's so secure in her value that she turned down more money than most WNBA players will see in their entire careers. That's big boss energy. That's knowing your worth and not settling. Meanwhile, we got people out here pretending like they wouldn't have taken that deal in a heartbeat if it was offered. So what's the lesson here? Know your lane. Excel in your lane. Stop trying to compete with people who aren't even aware they're in a competition with you. Caitlin Clark is out here breaking records, selling out arenas, and turning down millions, while Angel Reese is still trying to convince people they're rivals. They're not. One is a superstar who transcends the sport. The other is a good player who needs to stop comparing herself to greatness. At the end of the day, Chicago showed us everything we needed to know. When Caitlin Clark comes to town, it's an event. When she doesn't play, people want their money back. That's not shade, that's just facts. And until Angel Reese can generate that same energy without mentioning CC's name, she'll always be playing second fiddle to the real queen of the court. Look, if you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the biggest reality checks in sports history, smash that like button and subscribe for more real talk about what's really going on in the WNBA. Drop a comment below and let me know. Do you think Ice Cube was right to keep it real? Or should he have sugarcoated it? Until next time, remember, in the game of basketball and life, know your worth, know your role, and most importantly, know when you're beat. Peace out!